The first stop of this circuit was in Miami, Florida, where Brian Patterson came through after 3 motos and won a check for $2,500 and 80 points to his overall series standings. After Miami, we went to Detroit, Michigan. There, our young rookie named Eddie King on the Diamondback squad came through, and although Eddie did not win 1 moto, he placed high enough in the 3 motos that he raced into for him to go ahead and win $2,500 there and 80 points for his series standings. But that wasn't all. From Detroit, we went to St. Louis, Missouri. There, a local rider by the name of John Pyant went through the motos, blazing the track, and he won $2,500. Roker Ventures presents the ESPN BMX Pro Spectacular. Super circuit, this time stopping in beautiful Johnstown, Pennsylvania, famous for steel mills, coal mines, and occasionally this flooding river, also known as the amateur sports capital for international and national competition. Outside of Johnstown, tucked away in Highland Park, East Hills BMX track. It's the 4th stop on the BMX Pro Spectacular Super Circuit. And hi everybody, and welcome to this 4th stop. I'm D. David Morin, along with Carmen and Cizo. And Carmen, what do you expect to see today in this competition?
Well, you're going to see a lot of action, thrills, and adventure around this track right here. Has a bit of everything. Has a whole bunch of jumps in it. Some cascading waterfall jumps in the second straightaway.
Some things we've never seen before.
Yeah, it's the first time I've ever seen them. Very interesting the way the riders are taking them.
What about the length of the track, Carmen?
One of the longest I've ever seen. It's about a quarter of a mile long, and it's really a super fast track. It's going to be a very interesting day, to say the least.
And in the BMX Pro Spectacular format, the Pro Main runs 3 times, so it's not a one-shot deal. The pros, once we get to the final rounds, will have to be tearing around this quarter-mile track 3 times each to get ahead of it. Who do you like? Any favorites in the preliminaries that you've seen?
I got a couple of my favorites. I like to see the Avalanche do something. That's Richie Anderson. He does a nice job on the track, and he's a very interesting rider, one of the more interesting, I think. Stu Thompson's a hot rider. I think he'll do well on this track. It's his kind of track, a lot of short straightaways, a lot of power involved.
Our current leader, Greg Hillover, now in the Super Circuit point standings. And before we go to our first break, we're going to be showing you a little bit of the pros up close and the kind of riding style they can do. Don't leave us hanging. We'll be right back.
BMXer starts with the awesome frame set that keeps him on the jagged edge. Jag BMX World Championship Racing Frame Set. For flat-out speed and awesome fork tab design to keep you out front. And Jag's own rear dropout that steadies the ride. The awesome beginning. Jag BMX Midi Pro Model or 24-inch cruiser frame set. Jag BMX, the World Championship Racing Frame Set.
She's a honeycomb kid.
It's no fun getting up with the sun, but next week is it, the big hurdle race, and I want to win. Working to win means eating right too, like honeycomb cereal as part of a good breakfast. Honeycomb's real big and crunchy. It really helps me recharge.
That's a honeycomb kid. Honeycomb, the big bite gets you going right.
When you put on a pair of Jock's Jag shoes from Tom McCann and put them on the pedal, you notice one very important thing. They stay on the pedal. Jock's Jag, traction for the action. Only at Tom McCann.
Welcome back, everybody. D. David Morin along with Carmen and Caesar bringing you the play-by-play action as it happens. First, we'd like to give you the magazine picks, our BMX Press here, BMX Plus magazine, picking Stu Thompson to win it all here today. You can see the rest of the names they've picked for the top 8. Ironically, Stu Thompson has not advanced through the preliminaries. He isn't even in the semis, so Stu's out of the running, and maybe Plus's picks are a little bit out of kilter already. Anyway, that's how BMX Plus is picked. came down, and BMX Action has picked Brian Patterson to win it all today, with Greg Hill, our current series leader, in second. They have Stu Thompson in 6th place, so Stu already out of the running, a major upset there. Stu not making it into the semis at all. And speaking of semis, that's our very first race coming up right now. Our first pro semi, Moto 1, round 1. Each one of the pro semi motos runs twice here in this format, and we'll begin with gate number 1 in lane number 1. Lane number 1 is Greg Grubbs, number 51G. Greg Grubbs in lane number 1. In lane 2 next to Greg is Donnie Atherton. Donnie Atherton in the lane next to him. There's Donnie right there. In lane 3 next to him is Brian Patterson from the Patterson Racing Team. Brian Patterson. And Brian is one of our previous winners from the Miami race, so Brian's back in the running. In lane number 4, John Pyatt. Pyatt, the one that did it all in St. Louis at our last stop on the Super Circuit. Lane 5, Brent Patterson, Brian's brother, Brent Patterson, number plate number 6. In lane number 7 is Ronnie Anderson, and I'm sorry, I think I'm off kilter here. Greg Hill is in lane number 6, that's right. Ronnie Anderson is in lane number 7, and after Lonnie in lane number 8 is Eric Roop. Eric was our current series leader at the last stop. The gate is up, and Carmen, this is going to be the first pro semi Moto 1, round 1, and Carmen, why don't you call the action as it happens?
Okay, coming off the gate, looks like the half a pack has the move on everybody else. The inside rider seems to be making a good move. That's number 4.
Brian Patterson is in the lead and companion lead. And Hill is charging strong and with number 3 in second. Behind Hill is number 51, Greg Grubbs from the Jag team. And Brian Patterson's in well command of this. And we're coming in the uphill straightaway. It's Patterson going into the tricky turn. Hill and Greg Grubbs following. And behind Greg Grubbs, it looks like it's Atherton. So continuing down, it's Brian Patterson, Greg Hill, Greg Grubbs, and Donnie Atherton.
This last turn is a tricky one. You might see some moves being made in this last turn here. Hill's making a nice move. I don't know.
Hill's going to settle for second. Brian Patterson making a strong move out of the gate into the first very decisive turn in second. Greg Grubbs in third, and Donnie Atherton in fourth. We're going to look at it right here from the top of that last race. Here's the replay for the first pro semi-moto 1. As the gate drops, it's really anyone's baby, and the guy that gets the lead gets the whole shot. And here you can see Brian Patterson, who came out of lane number 3, really making a strong move.
Closed the door on Grubbs pretty good in that first turn there, and that helped him out, keeping him, him keeping a lead. Took the right line. If you take a look at the line, that's the one Hill said it was the hot setup going through these cascading waterfall jumps.
The rest of the pack pretty much funneling through, and Brian Patterson just hanging on for all of his might over the double jumps there and back down to this last turn. Hill on the inside.
Tried to make the move right there. Patterson closed the door on him over there and then pulled the outside line. It was pretty close there at the finish line, but I think I'll have to give it to Patterson there by about half a wheel.
The results for that first race, once again, Brian Patterson in first place, Greg Hill in second, Greg Grubbs in third, and Donnie Atherton in fourth place. This is the first round of Pro Semi-Moto 1. This same moto will go again a little bit later in the program, but right now we're in for the Pro Semi-Moto 2 round 1, and quickly the lanes are shaping up like this. This is Pro Semi-Moto 2 round 1. In lane number 1, Scott Clark from the Murray team. Scott Clark. Scott has already made it into the mains in one of the previous races here, and he'd like to get back into the main for this stop. In lane number 2, Harry Leary from the Diamondback squad. Harry, one of the more famous riders in BMX history here in Johnstown. Now next to him in the third lane is Mark Driscoll. Mark Driscoll in lane number 3. Lane number 4 is Rod Beckering. Rod Beckering.
Got him up.
Now we're getting a little mixed up here. Rod Beckering in lane 4. Lane 5 was Anthony Sewell. Lane 6 is Robert Fade. That's Robert Fade right there. Next to Robert in lane 7 is Eddie King. And in lane number 8 is Toby Henderson. So that's pretty much slating our gate for this Pro Semi-Moto number 2.
Ready?
And as the gate gets set, we'll see how this moto goes. The gate's down and off the start. On the inside, it's Harry Leary and Anthony Sewell. Here's Leary, number 25 on the outside, but Sewell's on the inside. No, that's Scott Clark, number 8. Scott Clark, number 8, battling it handlebar to handlebar with Harry Leary. Scott Clark still in the lead with Leary in second. They come around the turn, heading uphill. It's Leary in second still, with Scott Clark expanding his lead. Eddie King making his move at the back of the pack. Mark Driscoll in third. It's an open shot for fourth place, number 29. Is Rod Beckering in fourth place, but Eddie King making his move. He goes around Beckering into the final turn. We still have Scott Clark from Murray in the lead, Harry Leary in second. And Beckering comes back and takes fourth place away from Eddie King, and in third place was Mark Driscoll. We'll get a recap of that last race. We'll just watch the last half of it, and it's really a